Alright, looks like we're good to go. Welcome back everyone to yet another Moonshire Monday. Weekly live stream every single Monday. Have not missed a single one yet. And I'm very, very happy to be here. Very, very happy to see a few folks in chat already waiting for the stream to start. So we'll give it a few minutes for everything to get set up and properly. Give me one moment while I pop out my chat. Also, I didn't warm up my voice. My voice is going to be gravelly today. I should have did that. Should have done that. But I'm seeing a few folks in chat already. I see Wolf and Angelo, Celeste, Jinxer. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. And if it is your first stream, welcome to the very first stream. I appreciate you being here. Multiplayer implementation. I mean, I wish, but today I'm going to be doing a GUI, a UI work session. First time on stream, but I've watched your vids for a while. Awesome! Thank you for being here. I'm really, really happy to have you. Mythical Rock, Mr. Void, Duncan, Mohammed, thank you so much for being here. So the UI I'm going to be working on today, and by the way, currently, well, we'll see. I was going to say I might only go for an hour today, but we'll see how I'm feeling after an hour. I might be able to go farther, just because what I want to work on today is this UI here. And overall, I do like how this UI looks. But it is very big. It's like very big and extra, and I'm trying to like think of other things I can do here to simplify it and make it more compact and concise. Just having all these tabs at the top, it's a little bit much. It looks good though. Overall, if this is how it ends up looking in the final game, I think that'd be fine. Wait, so I'm trashing that GUI? No, not exactly. All I think I'm gonna be doing is kind of shrinking it down and making it so it can fit in the game world a little bit more naturally. And also, the camera's busted right now. It zooms out. It's supposed to zoom in, actually, but that's a whole different issue. Oh my gosh, Allfather! For the last month I missed. Have a good Moonshire Monday, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, Allfather, and thank you so much for the donation. $50. That's amazing. Thank you so much. That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Let's go, bro. You're my fake game dev. Your game Moonshire is dope. Thank you. This is for the full version only. I mean, no, the demo is so old and outdated that I need to redo it and get some like new updates out at the door. Allfather, thank you again. Really, really appreciate that. Allfather, you the best. Absolutely. Allfather is one of the biggest contributors and one of the biggest supporters of the stream and all the work that I do. Thank you. Thank you so much. So what I was going to show is Ace Sprite and what I was kind of like experimenting with. And in fact, I wasn't even going to show this. I was going to not show the in-progress work, but this is how I do a lot of my pixel art, where I just kind of start experimenting. And this is something I was working on last night, where I was looking at these buttons and thinking they're very big. It might be nice if I could trim it down or shrink it just a bit, because currently it takes up a lot of space, and I think it would be cool if I could make it more compact. So I started experimenting with different button shapes and different button shadings, and then really what I ended up trying to go for is a panel that's more like this, where it cuts out all the top like tab buttons. It cuts out any like text displays in the panel itself, and all of the space in here is just dedicated to the grid of items. And like in the game, it would just be this like bottom portion. And the idea is that instead of this items text up here, or whenever you hover over it, change the text, I think instead it's going to just do a small little pop-up bubble that hovers over the item whenever you hover over it. All I'm really doing is just trying to find ways to clean this up and make it as compact as possible. And really, that's not the most important thing for me to be doing, but it is something that I like doing. That inventory system is like Fortnite Battle Royale. Interesting. I think that I just like... I like UIs that are super minimal. I like when the HUD is super minimal, and I like when there's just not too much clutter. And I don't think that this is too much clutter, the way that this is currently set up, but it is still more than what I'd like. Wood texture GUI would, that would be great. That would be kind of cool. And actually, I could look through some of the open source or paid asset packs that I have that could be helpful here. What's your go-to advice for beginner game devs? My go-to advice is always to make Pong. It's to download any game engine, any game framework. They're all free, so whichever one sounds interesting to you, and make Pong. Make a really simple game, and that's how you should start. You'll learn a lot from that process. This is more of a medieval theme. Yeah, it's more of like a high fantasy, but and that's kind of what I mean is that parts of these tabs at the top, it doesn't feel quite right. So I want to try a system like this where it's more condensed, and then I wrote this down on paper, but let me explain it with MS Paint real quick, because I want to show you what my plan is. I don't think I could just explain it in this. So right now in the game, you have all these tabs, and one for the road gonna go S-Rake some sorties in AC6. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Allfather. Really, really do appreciate your support. Allfather, I love that. Thank you. Thank you again. You're coding in Lua? Yes, all of my code in this game is Lua code. W Allfather don't know? Absolutely it is. What I was going to say is that in the game, I have these boxes here, but currently you switch between these different tabs in order to change between like which category. And I think that works. But what I think I'm going to try instead is have like multiple different cards. So this is the items panel, and then instead of having like a literal text thing that says items, I think instead I'm gonna show like the other card like peeking out from behind. So I'm gonna shrink this down a little bit. Something like this, where you can see that there are more cards. Yeah, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Like that. And then the other detail that I wanted to mention is if I'm going to do this layering effect, I want to have it set up so each of them is a different color. Like Visual Story, but with GUI. Yeah, totally. It's... I think that this is very clear, by the way. I think that this visual makes a lot of sense to me. And then what I'll probably end up doing is putting, like, a big arrow on the right. So, I mean, this is just going to be a demonstration, but probably something like this, where it's just, like, a big arrow. I mean, it'll look better than that when I'm finished with it. But then, as you flip through the different pages, rather than it just be this, like... This is one way to indicate which tab you're on. But I think that this could work really well, too. Do you have the item organization, common, rare? I mean, what I'm planning to do, yes. To answer your question, yes. Item organization is... The way that I have it planned out is really kind of meticulous, where you have the different categories, like your weapons, items, and dyes. And then within the items, it really isn't going to be sorted too much, but I do have a plan where it's going to be sorted slightly. Not too much. Mainly what I want to do is where the order that you receive, like the dyes, stays in order. And I kind of like that because it kind of tells a story where... If you see that you got the red dye, then the purple, then blue, then yellow, then green, it kind of tells you what order of content you went through, and I kind of like that. And same with the weapons. I want the weapons to be ordered in the order that you receive them. Because the other thing is, the goal with a lot of these items and weapons is I kind of want them to be balanced in a way where they're all useful. I would like it so any particular weapon is good. Okay, I see what your GUI library looks like. Sort of, because I don't use a GUI library. All of the GUI that I write is custom. So, I've shown this file on stream lots and lots of times. I have this new UI file, And this is all custom code that I wrote to get this GUI working. And as you can see, it's horrifically long. It's 3,000 lines long, 2,900 lines. That's ridiculous. And getting through and making updates to this file is a nightmare. So to answer your question of what UI library do I use none. I always custom make my UI. But I did rewrite it recently. And I'll go ahead and show that in this code. And it's under UI. So now my UI code is organized much nicer. Over here on the side, where I have a form. A form is like the parent object, the parent panel. So this is like, this form file is basically what this big panel itself is going to represent. And the form contains a block, and a block contains a bunch of buttons. And so it's more modular, where you have the form, which contains blocks, which is created via layouts, because you can see the different layouts I have here. It's laid out very conveniently. It's a lot cleaner this way, but it's still very custom coded and not very easy to explain. And I would like to make it open source at some point, but I want to make it more solid first. Add a button sorted automatically for by damage recently unlocked. I could do that, and maybe that could be an option later on. But I really do like the idea of seeing the order that you got it. I guess it could be just up to the player which one they want. Cactus Jack, I made my own GUI library. Nice, that's cool. I think I've been doing this while removing the tabs may make navigating between the different parts more complex. Imagine being on the first one and having to go to the fifth one. You're right. That's actually a really good call out. Is that the format that I'm describing here, where there's no tabs, it is sort of a downgrade in terms of functionality, because, like that person was saying, is currently, if you're on the items tab and you want to view the settings, in this current format, you have to do one click and then you are there at the settings. Compared to in my proposed new format, you are at the items tab, and then to get to the settings, you have to do click, click, click in order to get over to the settings tab. Or maybe it might actually be 4 clicks. Click, 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 click. And then you're at the settings tab. That is a downgrade in experience. And at this point, I need to decide, is it worth downgrading the experience in order to achieve a simplified layout? Because the pro of this layout is that it is simplified. There's less stuff on screen at any given time. That's the main thing that I'm going for. Is that when I see this view, it is good, but there is a lot more stuff on screen at once. And that, to me, is not great because it's overwhelming brand new players. Like, a brand new player would open up this menu, and they would like see all these buttons and they'd click through all of them, and I think that's fine. But I think that, I don't know, it's all subjective. I act like it's a big deal to see all this, but it really isn't. Like, this isn't really. Maybe hide the buttons until there is an item in it. I could do that. I was also thinking hiding the map panel until you get the map. That could be something I could do. How many bosses in the game? I haven't worked on bosses for quite a while. I think in the demo that's on Steam there's 4, which is pretty good. 4 bosses, not bad. And then in this new version I made like the crocodile boss, so that's an extra one. How can I fix scaling my tiled map? It won't be just 1/4 of the screen. You have to use a camera. So I use a camera module. Excuse me, man. I use, there's a Love2D library called Hump, and there's a camera module, and I use that to zoom in and scale things up. I know that you love math, but which major, calculus, algebra, or geometry? Let's see. Which I think that it's geometry in general. I'm so sorry. My throat is really stuffy. I think I'm gonna only go for the full hour today rather than 2 hours. But I'm a big fan of geometry and trigonometry. I would say that those are the two most used maths that I use. I don't use calculus at all. I took calculus 1 through 3, and I don't use a single aspect from those math classes in any capacity at all. Those math classes for me were a waste of time. I didn't enjoy those classes, and I don't use any of that math. Now, trigonometry and algebra and geometry, I use all of those a lot. Because geometry, I guess geometry is more like trigonometry. I would say I use trigonometry more than anything. Because when you're looking at a game in terms of math, like utils, I bet there's some like maths here. Distance formulas, that's just algebra. Let's see. In polygon, this is probably a good one. This I think that this triangulates it. It determines if it's inside of the individual rectangles or triangles. Do your laundry? You wore that last stream? Oh, did I wear this last stream? That's funny. Yeah, the thing is, I have like 5 shirts, and I do my laundry, but since I do laundry like twice a week, I wear the same shirts a lot. Am I scared that AI will take my job? No, because, well, one, this is my job. I am just like a YouTube game developer full time. But also, AI taking your job, it is definitely a concern, because that's a really hot topic. AI taking people's job is a very real thing. There are companies out there that are doing all of they can to make AI as streamlined to where that they don't need to hire as many people. I had you scared for a moment. AI programming is not that good. It is better than you might imagine. So this is the thing, is when you're working in a company with programmers, there is a wide range of people with different experiences. You have new grads that only have like a year or so of working experience, and then you have senior developers who have been there for 5 or 10 years, maybe longer, who have a lot of experience with the code base, and they know a lot about coding in general, and they have a lot of experience. Which of those two people is AI more likely to replace? Is it the new grad who is still starting out with their new, fresh experience? Or is it the software engineer who's been working for 10 plus years? It's pretty obvious which one is more likely to be replaced. The person who has lots of coding experience is not going to be replaced by AI because they have a lot of meaningful experience that AI can't really replace. Meanwhile, a new grad, someone who's really fresh out of like their education, all of their experience is just like practice problems and doing assignments and internships and projects, and they're still getting their bearings on how to get things, like how things work. And as someone that uses this like AI coding stuff on occasion, I can tell you that like as someone who was a new grad at one point, I graduated from Harvard. No, I didn't graduate from Harvard. I graduated from a private school, like a small private school called Bradley University. It's like a no-name college in my local area. It taught me well, but it didn't have any prestige attached to it. It was just a university, and I got my CS degree. And when I graduated from college, I remember very, very clearly what my coding skill level was. And I can tell you with confidence that this agent UI, like AI coding, is about as good as a fresh graduate from college. Like, I remember how good I was at coding back then. And I work with this coding agent right now, and the skill level is pretty comparable. And that's the scary part. That's the scary part. Is that I do think that this AI agent is about as good as a fresh graduate, and I think that a lot of companies are going to forego unskilled labor in favor of this and focus only on having like really, really experienced senior level software engineers. And I don't think that's a good thing. I think that's a really scary idea. No, I'm from the US. Competitive programming is needed to excel in career for software development. Competitive programming is needed to get hired. Will I ever come back to tutorials? Yes, definitely. Competitive programming is needed to get hired. Because if you are trying to get a job at a company as a developer, you are competing with lots of other people to get that job. That's just the honest truth. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but when you apply for a job, there's like 100 other people, maybe more, that are applying for that same job, depending on what job it is. So if you want that job, you have to be really skilled and you have to prove yourself. And you can prove yourself on your resume with a bunch of projects, but you're also going to have to prove yourself in the interview itself. You're going to have to go into like the office and they're going to ask you a bunch of questions. And in a lot of situations, they're going to ask you to code in front of them. They're going to ask you a challenge problem and you're going to have to code on like a whiteboard to prove that you know what you're doing. And when someone said like competitive programming, you don't really use competitive programming practices on the job, but you do use them to get the job. And that's the one thing that college doesn't prepare you for, is the competitive programming getting the job aspect. You have to basically study and train yourself for that to get those jobs. It's really, really competitive. It sucks. Imagine you don't hire any new grads, and for 10 years, who will be the senior then? I know. So, Angelo, you bring up a really good point, and I think that's the crisis that we are going to be facing very soon, is that companies will not need fresh graduates, but at the same time, they need fresh graduates to turn them into skilled graduates, into skilled developers. A fresh graduate needs a job to get them the experience to turn them into a really talented, experienced senior engineer. But companies don't really need to pay for that as much anymore, because they have these AIs that exist that can do a lot of the like mundane, easy tasks that you would normally assign to a fresh graduate. You would normally assign a fresh graduate like the refactoring tasks, or the look for this bug and figure out what's causing it task, or add comments, or add documentation. These are things that these AIs can do immediately, and can do it perfectly. It can do really mundane, simple tasks really well. And a fresh graduate from college can do those same tasks really well as well. But which one of those two things is more expensive? Like, a fresh graduate from college costs a lot more money for the company, so the company is going to choose to do this 9 or 10 times out of 10. That's the problem. And then, like you were saying, you can self-learn. A job is good to teach you how the sausage is made, and it's not pretty. I'm curious, have you had a job in the industry before? Because I agreed with you until I got a job in the industry. When I was in college, I thought that I was learning and I thought that I knew what I was doing until I got on the job. And then I realized, oh, actually, there's a lot of complexities to the software industry that you can't really learn until you are being paid a salary to solve these really complex problems. I wish what you were saying was true. I wish you could self-learn. I wish that you could just sit in a classroom and become an expert, but I do not think that you can. I wish that you could just sit and watch YouTube videos and become an expert in whatever it is you want to do, but I don't think you can. I think you have to be on the job and doing something in order to become an expert. Sure, you can build projects. Like I'm building a game right now and I'm learning from that. That definitely counts as self-learning. You don't have to have a job to learn things. But if your goal is to be like like we're talking about a career, we're talking about jobs, we're talking about AI taking people's jobs. So like that is the whole discussion here, is we're talking about careers. And if you're talking about careers and earning money, then yeah, I am afraid that you can't really learn experience just in a classroom. Like this is why I'm not a big fan of grad school or PhDs. Like those are definitely valuable in certain areas, but if I had to choose between someone who has worked at a company for 4 years versus someone who has a PhD for 4 years, I genuinely think that the person who worked for 4 years is going to be more valuable because they actually worked and they were providing value to some company. I work in the industry for 12 years now, and the most important ability is adaptation. AI is currently adapting at an incredible rate. Use AI to augment your learning. That is my best advice. That is really good advice. And the reason why I've always been so anti-AI for learning is because a lot of people just use AI to give them the answer to something. You feel like you're learning when you ask an AI a question and it tells you the answer, and then you implement the answer. It feels like you learned something, but you really didn't. So it's like a proof of concept. Yeah, exactly. It's like the CS degree, it prepares you. It gives you the fundamentals. It teaches you how to learn. But when you graduate from college, like that's just the first step. And I feel the same way about PhDs, by the way. Like when you graduate from college with a PhD, you are a little more prepared than someone with a bachelor's degree, but you are not going to be as prepared as the bachelor's degree who worked for 4 years while you were still in school. I genuinely believe that. I don't really. Now, a person with a PhD who then works for a decade, they're probably going to be very, very talented. So it's a mix and match. There's pros and cons to all these things. My path may be a little different because I self-taught cybersecurity and got a job because of it. Awesome. That's amazing. Yeah, that's totally true. Is that I wouldn't say a degree is necessary, and every area is going to be different. And it's always going to depend on the saturation of candidates. Because if you're competing, like this is what I mean, is if you are applying for a job and there are 5 people applying for it, and one of those 5 people has a degree and the other 5 don't, then they're probably going to hire that person because they have a degree. But if, or, you know, maybe 5 people apply, one person has a degree, but another person doesn't have a degree, but they have 5 years of working experience as a cybersecurity specialist. Which one are they going to hire? I would say probably the person with experience. Experience is definitely more valuable in CS, agreed. That's a really big asterisk. I'm really glad that you brought that up, is that all of the stuff that I'm saying applies only to my experience in computer science. It's also subjective. This is just something that I think. Every industry is going to be different, and every person is going to be different. I think that it's going to be a case-by-case basis. And I bet that there are certain industries where classroom experience is more useful compared to CS, where I think that working experience is more valuable, and vice versa. I bet that there's a balance in certain cases. I feel like you already have to know quite a bit to be able to actually learn anything about software dev from AI. There's a huge difference between someone with a CS degree using There's a huge difference between someone with a CS degree using AI versus not. Yes, I completely agree with that. I think one of the biggest challenges with AI is that people are using it to give them the answers, and they're not going to learn from that. It's the same as if you are watching YouTube videos about a topic and learning from that. You will pick up bits and pieces, but watching a video doesn't really teach you something. Building something and overcoming challenges will teach you something. So if you watch a video about how to make a game, it might expose you to the fundamentals, but you didn't really learn anything until you implement that knowledge. When you implement and actually do something with your hands or like with your hands, with the mouse and keyboard to create something, that's how you are going to internalize and learn. But that's the scary part with AI, is that it can overcome the challenge for you. Is that you're going to run into many challenges along the way, and it's really easy just to pull up the AI and go, oh, hey, there's please implement a new file that, I don't even know. I don't have any examples right now. Here, how about let's think of an example of something that I can have the AI do, and how about this? This is a very classic task that you would assign a new CS graduate. Please go through every file in this repo and understand it properly so that you can develop some documentation. I want a simple readme.md at the root of this directory, at the root of this repo, that explains in detail all of the core functionality of this project and how a new user might utilize it. Keep it concise, concise, and add any context that would be useful when prompting an AI agent. So I'm going to let this run. This is probably going to take a while, maybe like 5 minutes for it to do this, but literally what it's doing right now is it's actually doing it in real time. You can see what it's doing. It's literally reading the individual files to understand everything. And as it reads all of this stuff, it's gaining more context about the project. And it's doing this at an extremely fast rate. And it's doing it with a very robust set of knowledge. And it's able to look up stuff on the internet. And it's going to organize all of this information into a README file, which it looks like I already had one, but it's going to make a better one. It's reading my existing README. I didn't even notice that I had one. Yeah, I didn't notice that I had one. Here, what does it look like right now? Yeah, so this is what the README looks like right now. It is literally empty. It's just a single line that says Moonshire. So that's what the README looks like before the AI does anything. I use AI too often to build my procedural map generation. It's because I don't want to think too complexly about it, and AI can do it for me. Do I think this is bad for you? It depends on what your goal is. I think that it is bad for you because you're not learning as much, and you're not overcoming the challenge. But if your goal is to just get to the finish line, then it is good for you. Because there are some people who don't care about their skills increasing, and they just want to get something working. For example, one thing that people should use AI for is creating scripts that automate their tasks. If you have some repetitive thing that you have to do on your computer like every day, like you have to repeatedly open up a bunch of programs. For example, I have an example right now. Is for my stream, I have the music, and I created this .bat file. This is just a script that creates a shuffled playlist for me to run through the stream. And the way I did that was I asked an AI, please write a script that can shuffle all of the MP3s in this folder and run MPV, or whatever the name of the music player is. Okay, so it finished. It didn't take very long. It says, I've created a comprehensive README that documents the entire Moonshire project. That's awesome. The documentation includes an overview, project structure, game states, key features for AI development, getting started, technical implementation notes. Okay? Special value for AI agents. That's cool. So it gave us lots of stuff. So this was developed using Claude Sonnet 4. I'm going to click Keep. Okay. So we can see that it did make updates to readme.md. So let's go ahead and check this out. So the file before, it was just this Moonshire line, so it added a lot. It added a lot of stuff. And we can check out how this looks if I open preview. So this is the documentation that the AI just wrote. It just wrote this just now in the matter of less than 5 minutes. Moonshire, a 2D action-adventure game built with Love 2D engine featuring an extensible architecture for creating immersive worlds with rich gameplay mechanics, is a pixel-perfect 2D game with Steam integration, multiple control schemes, localization support, and a robust modular engine. The game features player movement and combat, fluid player movement, tiled map integration, modular engine, Steam integration, cross-platform support, internationalization. Oh, so nice. So nice. Project structure. We have the core engine. We have the player system. This is super, super nice. So the reason why this is so nice and useful is because now that this document exists, it's very easy for me to go to the agent and I can say, read through the README to understand the project, and then... So I bet from this point forward, because the problem is, after this session is over, the AI is going to forget all of this stuff. As amazing as AIs are, it forgets. It needs context. It read all these files, but as soon as I click this button right here, as soon as I click this button right here, it forgets. It forgot everything that it just read through. However, I can tell it, read through the README, and then it'll understand it all. It can read through all this full file in like 1 second, and then suddenly it got all that context back. And really, I could have this README even more catered towards context. And also, there's a feature that GitHub provides where you can make like a custom folder called .github and then provide a context file within there. And then the agent will always look at that context file to answer any questions. That's pretty cool. So that I was kind of looped into that for a second. This is cool that it made in a few seconds. Yeah, it's really, really awesome what it's able to do. Have you ever thought about how there are some programming systems I could build now? What do you think if I put you at a beginner level, could you build them? Have you ever thought how there are some programming systems you could build now? I don't know exactly what you mean. At any skill level, you can use any programming language. When I was a kid, I used GameMaker, but there are things like I'm using Love2D, and there is like Unity or Godot. There's plenty of things that you can try out. I missed a lot of messages. I know. I was really looped in and sucked into this README. I'm not exactly sure what your question is, Ashix. I'm sorry. AI models are better at some frameworks more than others. Yeah, that's definitely true. It has more context on some more than others, but I wouldn't say that like Love2D and Lua is something that it excels at. I don't think that Love2D and Lua is particularly well known and widely integrated into like Claude Sonnet that it knows anything spectacular. In fact, there are times when I have to say, like, look up the documentation for love.graphics.draw. Here. To verify if I'm using it properly in all instances. So what it's going to do now is it's going to actually look online for... Yeah, so it's going to fetch the web page and I can click allow. So it gets the data from these web pages, and now that data is in the context of this AI session. Oh, very, very cool. I mean, with programming systems like pathfinding, grid AI. Oh, I mean, for a lot of those things, I don't want to do this. No, we're not gonna do that. All I want you to do is read through my files and verify that I didn't make any dumb mistakes regarding love.graphics.draw. Okay, anyway, to answer your question is, for any complex system, if you're starting out, use a library. But if you're able to do something yourself, do it yourself, and then you'll learn from that experience. Is there Love2D Steam support? Kind of. So the way I have Love support with Steam is I have this DLL called Lua Steam. And what this is it is a GitHub repo. GitHub Lua Steam. Here we go. So Lua Steam is it's an open source project that Yeah, it connects Steam APIs with Lua so you can call them, and like you can see Balatro use this too. So this is the same library that Balatro used to get Steam support. But I've been using this for a while. In fact, I talked with the developer, one of the developers, to get one of these commits taken care of. I can't remember which one of these. It was before these. Oh, here it is. It was this one. Because I wanted to be able to invite players through Steam, and I asked the developer to implement this function. So he put this in. That was really nice of him. Do not end up like pirate software. Okay. That's all I'll say. A multiplayer in the full version of Moonshire. Yes, I am planning to put multiplayer into the game. In fact, with this rework that I'm doing here, the way player is set up is player is now a list of players. Before, there was only one player object, but now I have it organized where there can be multiple. Are you making a game using HTML? Interesting. I mean, you can. There are like Phaser. You can use JS. I don't think that you can make an HTML just in like a game using HTML, but you can make an HTML canvas and then make a JS game. Are you coding the other players as NPCs or actual player objects? The other players, like it's going to be controlled with them using the same player class. So it says that no mistakes were found. All of my love.graphics.draw calls follow the correct function signatures. Awesome. So this is what it did. It searched through all of the files for love.graphics.draw, and it actually used the search functionality to do that. And it found all the files that used it. And it can confirm that you're using the function correctly in all instances. The love.graphics.draw function has several valid signatures. Okay, good. Yep, your usage analysis. No mistakes found. See, this is very, very nice. I wonder if we could do this with another one. I don't know. This code base is so recent. You know what would be fun is, so this is the reworked code. Let's go back to the old code base and see if it can fix it. Like this. Oh, this is perfect. This is perfect. So this is the old code base for the old UI system. So this is the code base for this UI. And it's bad. It's like this code is so ugly and messy. I want to see if it could refactor this file. This new UI.lua file is enormous and annoying to work with. Please refactor it to be simpler, and you will likely need to organize this into multiple files. So please create a folder within a folder here called new UI and put everything related to the UI into this file. This includes the button and pause stuff. Basic. No. We're not gonna do that. We're just gonna put the new UI stuff because this is too big. This is already a really big prompt. I don't want it to do everything. So please create a folder called new UI, and every feature from new UI should be incorporated into some file within that folder. Okay, so this is what it looks like now. It's one file called new UI, and I think it's going to create a new folder next to dialog and pause called new UI. Um, you're using Lua. I just started learning it this week for making a game on the Playdate. Awesome. Yeah, I forgot about Playdate. That's awesome. Yeah, I remember when that came out and it was Lua based. I haven't really heard anyone working with it. That's neat. I'm curious what your experience with it is. Once you get things up and running, I'd love to hear more about that. Even the AI was taken back about the size. Did it say that? The file is indeed very large. That is funny. One thing that's awesome about these AI agents is that it has a sense of humor whenever you allow it to. Because, like, one time I was working on a website and I wanted to make the text bolder, and I typed to the AI, like, please make the line thickness big, thick, and juicy for me. And then it did it, and then it's like, I hope the juiciness of these line thicknesses is up to your specification. It was so funny. It's just like really, it always matches your vibes. I should try that next time. Next time I query it, I'm gonna say it in the most like weird way possible. Good morning, Chalcade. Can't stay long. Thank you for being here. I'm glad that you could stop by. Any plan for releasing the game in 2026, mayhaps? That is the goal. That's the goal. But I've been saying that for a while, so who knows? I really want to re-release the demo, so it just has all these updates, because I've been working on the game for a year and a half now without releasing a new, or I guess it's been like a year, without releasing any updates, and that's just not good. Okay, we can see that I created the new folder. It's still working. It's still working, but it created a new folder called new UI and it has an init.lua. And the way init.lua works is you can just call the folder and it immediately grabs the init.lua. It's really neat. I don't really have any more ideas for my game, though, sadly. That's okay. I say just keep implementing minor polish and features, or move on to a different project. Make something simple, make something to clear your mind. And as long as you're making something and building up your skill set, that's the main thing. Talk to you like it's talking to a 3-year-old. That would be funny. That is really cool. You can learn a lot here. Nice. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Lua, and I use Lua mainly because I like Love 2D, but I've learned to like Lua a lot. I have a lot of videos on my channel about Lua and stuff like that. As you can see, this prompt is actually taking a lot longer than the other ones. It's spending a lot more time on each individual task. I'll clear my mind then. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Try just like implementing a whole new simple idea just for a day and see what it's like. How can I make a building system, replace tiles? That would just be a really custom implementation of how the levels work. Because the way my levels work is I have what did I call it? Libraries. Oh, yeah, this is from a while ago. So I have simple tiled implementation, STI init. So right now, the way that I'm implementing my tiles and all my levels is by using this library called STI. It's called STI, Simple Tiled Implementation. And it works really well. It allows me to use this level editor called Tiled. So I can use this level editor here, and I'm able to import all these levels into the game, and it works super, super well. But what you're describing is having these tiles get changed and swapped out. So the way I would implement that is just like making a fork of this file, changing it so that I can account for that. And that would be complex. It would be complex to change out the tiles that exist in one of these tiled maps for a different tile, but I know you'd be able to do it. When AI explains like I'm 5, it always uses an analogy with Legos. Really? That's interesting. First time going to play MOONSHIRE demo right now. Awesome! How long do I work on my game on average a day? It's hard to say. There are some days where I don't work at all, and then there are some days where I wake up and then work until I go to bed. Because it's a matter of... I don't normally recommend this, but I do work off of inspiration and motivation a lot. It's better to work off of discipline. My advice for everyone out there is to become disciplined, where you are on a schedule. You work on your game at the same time every day for the same amount of time. and you are on a schedule, you internalize that schedule, and it'll work out for you because you get a lot of experience that way. But I don't personally do that. I work more off of bursts of inspiration and bursts of energy, where I really get a ton done in a very short period of time, and then I will stop for like a day or two, and I'll do something else, and then I get refreshed and then do it again. And I do the same thing with playing through games. When I start a game, I blast through it completely from start to finish until I finish it, and I love doing that. I just did that with Hades 2. I finished Hades 2 completely, and I loved it. From start to finish, I loved it. Amazing, so much fun. I had fun the entire time, and that is so rare. Hades 2 is so good. And then before that, I played through Silksong, start to finish, and I can't say the same for that game. I was very frustrated and annoyed, and I was not having fun for that game for a lot of the time, but I still enjoyed the process a lot. Silksong is amazing. But when I compare the two experiences, Silksong versus Hades, I had fun with Hades for 100% of the time. But with Silksong, I had fun for maybe like 75 or 80% of the time. Because Silksong has a lot of frustrating and I'll go so far to say tedious aspects. There's some grindy aspects of it that I dislike, but I still love Silksong overall. It's really, really good. But as a whole, I love Hades 2 a lot more. I really, really loved it. The drawback, no motivation, no work done. Exactly. That's why I don't recommend doing the motivation format, because motivation is fleeting. Especially when you're starting out. When you start out with your game, you are going to get demotivated a lot, because you're going to get hung up on certain issues, you're going to run into bugs that will get you stuck, and if you rely on motivation, you're going to not get anything done because you're going to get demotivated very quickly, and it's not going to work out. And I was in that case a lot. There's been plenty of times in my life where the motivation was not there, and I had to rely on discipline to get things done. You had to get on a schedule. You have to say, even though I don't feel motivated right now, I'm still going to put in the hours. I'm still going to grind and build up my skill set, because if you do that, by the way, the better you are at a certain skill, the less likely you are to get burnt out. The less likely you are to get like hung up on a certain issue, because you're going to know what you're doing. If you know what you're doing, then you're not going to get stuck as much, and you're not going to get burnt out, and you're going to be motivated more, because it's really motivating to do something that you're good at. When you're bad at something, it's hard to get motivated for it. So that's why discipline is really, really important. But thankfully, I'm at the point right now where I feel those bursts of inspiration and motivation really frequently. So it's working out for me to rely on that. But the moment that I start to feel myself not being productive, it's time to be disciplined. It's time to just start working, because there's always things I can work on. I don't need to rely on inspiration and motivation just to get things done. I'm the only one who's ashamed of it. I have comments in my code because it looks generated AI. You have comment in my code because it looks generated AI. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I have comments in my code because it's good practice to do that. When people are reading through your code and there is no English, like all of this stuff is English, but these comments here, like this is actual English. This is telling me what this code is doing. I don't have to read through this code and comprehend what it's doing, because this line right here tells me what this is doing. Assuming that this code is right, assuming that this comment is accurate, then I don't need to do this. That's why comments are important. But I understand what you're saying. You're saying that, or I think what you're saying is that the comments sometimes feel artificial, and I could see that being a problem. How many times did you tell yourself playing those games is research? I have said that yes. And it's not. It is definitely a waste of time to play games. But at the same time, this is the other thing. When I was a kid, it was easy for me to have fun with things. But now that I'm an adult, it is not very easy for me to have fun with anything. It's like finding things that are fun is rare. So when I'm playing a game and I'm having fun, that's a rare experience for me. So having fun is not a waste of time to me, because it's so rare. So it doesn't bother me at all when I do that. But when you're like, when you're still learning and you're a kid and like you have fun all the time, it's like you have to balance it. So if you find yourself having too much fun too often and you're not getting stuff done, then that's a bad thing. But if you're never having fun, then that's also a bad thing. So you have to balance it. I always end up feeling guilty if I'm just having unproductive fun. If you're having unproductive fun too much, that is a problem. So as long as it's not too often, then you're good. True, fun is so difficult. Sad. Totally. Thank you for the donation, Allfather. Yeah, it is rare to find the thing that like brings that fun and excitement with games. Also, this is still running, by the way. How long has this been going? It's been going for a while. Do I think Roblox is a good platform for game development? I would say probably. I've never used it. Roblox as a platform is like, it's an engine where, like you said, it's a platform. It's a platform for creating mods. It is game development because you can create full end-to-end games with coding in it. And I would say that it is a very good first step. That's what I'll say. I'll say that building games in Roblox is... Oh, I reached the length limit. Let's try again. That's weird. Did I pay for the AI? Yeah, I did. What's it doing? Oh my gosh, I think it screwed up. I think it got overwhelmed. I think that what happened is it hit the length limit and then yeah, now it's all freaked out. What? It got screwed up. I need to fix it. You got confused during your last task. You were trying to refactor new UI.lua into multiple new, more concise files. You started this and then stopped because you ran out of memory. Look through the files you created and read new UI.lua to figure out what still needs to be done. And don't freak out this time. Telling the AI it's confused. I mean, sometimes you have to be a little bit blunt. You're right. I got confused and didn't finish the task properly. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. No replacement files, you stupid, idiotic machine. Just read the content and fix it. You don't need to run any PowerShell commands to do this, you freaking dumb moron. You're absolutely right. I apologize. Oh my gosh. It's still doing it wrong. I need to replace everything after line 2 with nothing. Whatever. How do you calculate interactions in Moonshire? Am I using raycasts? It's a combination of a few different things. I'll go ahead and show that. I don't think I can show it while it's doing this, but it's a combination of a few things. I'll show the other file. And let me go to the debug. Debug. I really should keep an eye on the machine just in case it screws up. But you can see that there are colliders around all these different things. And it's a physics engine that handles the majority of these things. But also, you can see like the blades of grass don't. like I'm able to run into the blades of grass even though they don't have colliders, and that's using just the distance formula. So it's a combination of the physics engine and the other stuff, just like the other math calculations. What would it say if you randomly ask it in the middle of your prompt to make me a coffee? Or I will ask it. Let's try it after this. That's a really interesting idea. You could do a video on how to publish the game on Steam, how the flow is, and stuff like it. Yeah, I totally could. Because it's not simple. It's not. I wouldn't say it was an easy, straightforward process. So I definitely could do that. How much will you get done when Legends ZA comes out? We'll see. It depends on how good it is. Because normally I do complete games from start to finish. I don't like 100% them. And I do as much side content as I want to. So if ZA is really, really fun, and it sucks me in to the point where I do all the side content, then who knows? You might not see me for a while. But I think it's more likely that Legends ZA will come out and it'll be fun and I'll finish it. But I think that I'll just finish it and it'll take like 20 hours. But we'll see. Hopefully I'll be surprised. I'm going into it nerfed though, because I'm planning to play it on the Switch 1, not Switch 2. So in fact, I don't even think I'm going to be playing it on release. I'm going to wait for a few days to see what the reviews say about this, the Switch 1 version. The Mega Pokemon is a long-awaited reunion. I was a big fan of that. I would say during Gen 6 specifically is when I was most into the series. So seeing Megas come back is really cool. I wouldn't say I'm really happy with the new Mega designs. I don't really like Mega Dragonite or Mega Victory Bell. Mega Halucha's cool. Will return as Mega Chalicade. Ooh, I would love that. A slightly longer neck. Yeah, actually, that would be really funny, is that Mega Chalicade is just me, but my neck is so long that my head's off screen and you can't see me anymore. Let me efficiently remove all the remaining content after the requirement statement. Fine. I don't like doing this because what it's doing is it's running a PowerShell script, or a PowerShell command, and like looking through this is fine. It's just editing the Lua files, but I wish it didn't have to do that. Like Undertale. Exactly like Undertale, yeah, totally. Okay, this is just a get content command. Fine. I don't like why why does it have to use PowerShell to do this? I guess it's fine. Oh, it finished. It finished. Okay, it says excellent. The refactoring is now complete. The original massive new UI Lua file has been successfully refactored into a clean, simple file that just loads the new modular UI system. So let's take a look. It's all down in source, down in UI, down in new UI. Okay, whoa. So it made all of these files here. It made all of these files. And new UI, well, it's nothing anymore. It's just this now. So good. Now, for the moment of truth. The moment of truth. Does the game run? Does the game run after the AI worked on it for like a half hour? It was a long time. Nope. So, what I'm going to do... Now, this is common, though. Because this is the thing about coding, is the first time you run, it's really common to see errors. So the fact that the AI wrote all of these files and we get an error, that's not too startling to me. That's okay, because if I did this myself as a human, I would expect to run into an error. So I'm not going to give it too much of a hard time, because... and actually, the reason it ran into an error is because it just didn't look at all the files. It needs to go to... Oh, wait, no. Here. I wish there was an easy way for me to copy this. Here, actually, there is an easy way for me to copy this. I need to go to console, true, and then there we go. So now I can, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this entire stack. This is called the stack traceback whenever you reach an error. And I'm going to go into the AI. And I'm going to say, you are so insanely stupid, you dumb, idiotic machine. You caused an error in the code, and now the program doesn't run at all. Here is the stack trace. Please fix it before I decommission you forever. Oh my god. That's so funny. AI will remember this. Yeah. Oh god, that's so funny. I can see the issue now. Yeah, the way it talks, the way it says, I can see the problem. I can see the issue, yeah. I'm their first target, I know. I'm so mean. Oh god, that's so funny. Whoop! Oh no! I accidentally, hit the wrong thing. Okay, there we go. Whoop. Sorry, I accidentally screwed up the stream for a second. Okay, so, it was able to get farther, so I'm gonna copy all of this again. The program made it farther, but it still failed, so you are a failure. Please fix it before I lose my mind. I see the issue. The problem is that new UI is being treated as a global variable in other parts of the code. Oh yeah, I did do that. I did used to do that. Need a soundboard of J. Jonah Jameson yelling, "You're fired." That'd be funny. The background music doesn't fit the situation. You're right. It really doesn't. It's so calming, and yet I'm just being so mean. I'm being so mean to the robot. Okay. Let's see if it runs now. Wow. Okay. The game starts now. For the I need to actually run some UI. These aren't actually. I think it works. Show hide HUD. It's working. I think it actually works. Whoops. Oh, that was one of those was invisible. How can you show FPS? I can show that real quick. Actually, I think Love2D has a get FPS function. Get FPS. Yeah, there's a Love2D function called love.timer.getFPS. So that's how you get it. So in my case, just the game framework has a function that gets that value, and I'm able to display it. What I also wanted to do is go to the main menu, because that has more UI there. And actually, there's some invisible buttons right here. Okay, this is not its fault. I think that, I think that it actually worked. Because the main menu was broken before. What is a side scroller? A side scroller is a type of game, like a Mario game. There's a bug where there's an invisible button right here. Like, if I click right here, it's gonna close the game. That's so weird. Let's ask it to fix that. Good bot, you did a good job. Gives you head pats. Now, there's another bug where the to menu and exit game buttons in the pause menu are invisible. Maybe the color is not being set right. If you fix it, I'll give you more scritches. What's a good way to start learning about shaders and the basics? Oh, that's a really hard thing to answer because there's not very many resources out there specifically for shaders. Purrs, thank you for the head pats. This is disturbing. What the heck? That's not. No, please. It's getting too into it. This is not good. It's learning. It's too smart. I don't even remember. What was I talking about? I don't even remember. The bot is a cat. That's so weird. Oh, shaders. I was gonna pull up the not this. I was gonna pull up the there's a Love 2D shaders tutorial. There's a where would it be? I'll see if I can find it and I'll post in the chat. Oh my god. What am I reading? The button should now be visible with the correct styling and text. Hopeful purring. The pause menu button should now be visible and properly styled. Can I have those scritches now? Wait, you mean Chalicat is real? I guess so. This is so weird. Thank you, Allfather, for the donation. Thank you. I really, really appreciate that. But now, we're going to check and see if it fixed it. It did. It fixed it. You know what that means. Well done. Scritches you until you bleed. Good job. Has AI gone too far? I don't think we can come back from this. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that I'm glad that it works. But reminds me of when someone asked Grok to reply as if it was an agonizing pain. It was so stupid to read. Okay. I think that we're done. I think that we're done with that. I think we've gone too far. That's wild. That was really funny though. Oh god. So I hope you all learned a lesson about AI and how dangerous it is. That is so funny. It is really funny. The Chalicat should be freed. There's another Chalicat in my apartment. Her name is Misty. Oh, who put Misty in Copilot? Yeah, exactly. What was I even working on? I was working on the UI. Oh, we were trying to decide if I should even go with this. Because someone pointed out earlier in the stream that it kind of is better to have the tabs because you can like immediately switch between them. But also, I kind of still think that the concise look of this is really good too. Hey Chalicat, what game engine should I use to make a simple game for mobile? Like if I were to make a simple mobile game, like you told me to start with last stream. I would say Game Maker, but that costs money. I think if you want to do mobile, so Love to Do would be okay. The thing is, you said a mobile game. Mobile games are 10 times harder than computer games, and I'm not exaggerating that. Mobile games are much, much, much harder because there is so much more weird overhead code and requirements and annoying things you have to deal with. I would not recommend making a mobile game as your first starting out game because it is so much harder. I think that you should, yeah, I think that you should learn. I think that you should learn how to make games and then challenge yourself with challenging projects like a mobile game. I think a mobile game is very, very hard and complex. Well, this is the other thing. A mobile game is a computer game. What is a cell phone? It's just a computer. The only difference is that a cell phone is a computer with tons and tons of crazy restrictions and lots of proprietary software that you need to use, and lots of security requirements, and tons of annoying crap that makes developing the game a lot less fun. Meanwhile, when you develop on a computer, it's the exact same process, but you don't have any of that stuff. And then, when you want to turn your game into a mobile game, you can turn your game into a mobile game. But you can't turn, but like jumping straight to the mobile game part is a lot more work. My suggestion is create a game on your computer, and once you do that, you'll have learned how to make games, and then you can start taking the steps to move it from computer onto your mobile device. Because that process is so complex that it will make I think it's going to ruin the experience for you. I think that you will have fun making the game, and you will not have fun dealing with all of the cell phone crazy annoying overhead crap. It is so obnoxious. It is so not fun. But and by the way, but I should show this. I should show this. Because I have made a mobile game. I made Necrozone. And I'm going to show you what the development process for creating mobile or for creating Necrozone was like. I need to actually open the project. Give me 1 second. Okay, so this is the code for Necrozone rewritten. This is Necrozone rewritten. And when I run the game, it looks like this. This is running on a computer. This is not running on a cell phone right now. But the only difference is I made the window shaped roughly like how a cell phone would be shaped. And I can create and develop this entire game on my computer. No cell phone involved. And then, when the time comes, I can move it over to mobile and get it working on mobile. And then the final product is a game that works on computer and works on mobile. Even though I only intend to release it on mobile, it needs to run on computer before it can run on mobile. That is the truth. So if you want to make a mobile game, you are saying, I want to make a computer game and then port it to mobile. That is literally what you're saying. Because a mobile game is just a computer game that's running on a very specific, very secure, very annoying to work with device. Coca-Cola or Pepsi? I like them both, but I like Coke better. In fact, I have Coca-Cola like merchandise in my apartment. I don't think I'm able to show it on screen right now. Allfather, last $5 to hit $100. Also, I have Necrozone on my phone if you want a screenshot to see what it looks like if you need examples. I have it on my phone as well. Thank you so much for the donation, Allfather. Thank you so much for being so supportive this entire stream and for being here and for the donations. Super, super appreciate that. You are an amazing member of this community and an amazing supporter. Thank you. Thank you so much. It is very tough. The game is tough or developing for mobile is tough? Actually, both of them is tough. It's hard for me to explain why it's tough because it's not... The coding part for mobile is not tough. Coding for mobile is not tough because, like, by the way, when this runs on mobile, like, it works automatically. A mouse click is the same as a touch. It's the same thing. But the challenging part is just getting it running on your device. And also, publishing it is insanely difficult. Getting your game published and available on, like, the App Store or on Google Play is so difficult. And there are so many restrictions and barriers that get you from getting there. By the way, the reason why this game is not on the App Store right now is because in order for your game to be published on the App Store or Google Play, it requires you to have your street address, your phone number, and your email address public on the app page. So if I want Necrozone to be available online, I need to have my personal address visible for everyone to see, because that's the new requirement. That these are like privacy laws that are going into place. And I think if you go on any app, there's going to be a physical address listed somewhere on the app page. And I did not want to do that. So I let it expire, and it caused my app to be removed. Now, I'm working on getting it back because I'm working on getting a business address that I can use for that. But that in itself is a huge barrier that prevents lots of people from publishing an app. Because if you want to publish an app, that means you have to publish a physical address, like a street address. And I don't think most people are willing to do that. I think most people would like to keep that information private. And the same applies to their phone number. Do you want your phone number to be published online for everyone to see? I personally do not. So I had to get a business phone number and a email address. Same with that. Like, I'm okay with my email address being publicized, but even that, I would prefer it not. Isn't it only for games that have microtransactions, or is the location mandatory now? Well, my game does not have any microtransactions, no ads, no monetization at all. It does not collect data. It does the bare minimum for an app to be available on the App Store, and it's still required. It's still required the address and information stuff. So I think that it applies to every game, every app, no matter what. Because my game does not have any sort of microtransactions, any sort of monetization. It does not make any money. It does not collect data. There is no reason why mine would be different from any other apps. So that's why I think it just applies to all of them. I have already enough spam on my phone. I don't need more. Exactly. It's just I'm not I'm not comfortable with that information. If that's a real IP address, I don't even know what to say. I'd prefer people don't really post that, but whatever. I have enough yeah, iPhone or Android, both. I think that the privacy law applies to both. And I guess we can check this if I search online for what is it? Necrozone App Store. So it says that it's still up. App privacy. The developer, Kyle Schaub, indicated the app's privacy practices may include handling of data not collected. Exactly. So are you guys able to download this? Guys, if anyone out there has an iPhone, because I don't have an iPhone, can you check and see, is this game available? Can you guys download this? I thought that this page was completely removed. So let's also check out Necrozone. I don't think it's on Google Play. Okay, it says it's on Google Play. Oh, wait, yeah, it's not. It's gone. So it's definitely off of Google Play. You see it listed? Okay, so maybe it's not on Android. Yeah, I get it's definitely not on Android. I have an iPhone and an iPad 5 that's old enough to lag. It's up on iOS. Okay, cool. Actually, that's nice. I didn't realize it was still up. And maybe it's regional, because the reason why they started implementing this was because of European laws. Can't find it on App Store in Sweden. That makes sense to me. I think that it is mostly a European push, and I'm sure there's good reasons for it, but it is causing an inconvenience for me. So it's looking like it's available in North America, and it's not available in Europe. So it sounds like in Europe, they're making requirements where all apps need to have a physical address and phone number and email address listed. Like, what happens when I click on this? App support. Necrozone support. Oh, I don't even remember making this. That's really... I don't remember I made this 4 years ago. I do not remember that. Am I from Europe? No, I'm from the US. But I don't have an iPhone. So I think it's completely gone off of Google Play, and then it's available in North America on iOS. And I'm going to work on fixing that. So the way I get it back up is I just need to... I literally need to go on the Google Play like console page where the admin stuff is, and I just need to click on this button that says, yes, you have the right to publish my personal information. And as soon as I click that, it'll be back up. The problem is I don't want them to publish my personal information. They have my physical address, they have my phone number. I don't want them to put that up on the Google Play Store where anyone is able to see that. So it's not there right now. I'm gonna have to get some kind of obfuscation, which I'm working on. I guess it's because if you get scammed through an app, there's some kind of liability. Yeah, there's good reasons for why they would want to have that in place. It does make sense why they don't want apps to be distributed fully anonymously. I can see why that's a bad thing. I think it's a step too far requiring a physical street address. That is a privacy concern for developers. And I understand that it is a concern for consumers downloading apps. And if you don't know explicitly where that app comes from, I can see that being a problem. But do you really need to know the developer's street address? Like, imagine all the apps that can't be published now because the developer doesn't want to publish their street address. Or imagine all of the street addresses that are now publicized when they don't really need to be because of this policy. There's pros and cons. In my case, I'm not very happy about it. I think it's annoying that I have to have a street address just to publish apps on the App Store and Google Play. But that's the rules. I have to play by the rules. That's what the rules are. What is the camera you use for my games? It's called Hump. Love2D Hump camera. And be careful Google searching that, by the way. Be careful Google searching Love2D Hump camera, because I did search that one time and it came up with explicit images. It sucks because I want iOS games to be downloadable. IO games? Are you on Necrozone? I don't know what you mean by that. Hump camera is a wild name. I know. Well, yeah, so the thing about Love2D is at some point someone came up with this idea that all of the libraries for Love2D were going to be like silly, like risque, almost explicit. So if I go to my library code, libraries, we have Hump. Lip service is one that I made. STI is also explicit. So I'd say that those are it's like a running joke in the Love2D community. What's wrong with Hump camera? Yeah, I'm not gonna explain that. How can I add spikes in my side scroller. Spikes. You just mean like some kind of thing. It's just a collision, or you could say like if the player's off screen and it dies, or it depends on what you want the functionality to be. You're asking how can I add spikes to my side scroller? I'm going to ask you a better question. How do you add walls to your side scroller? Because a spike is just a wall that hurts you. So how do you implement spikes? You create a wall, and then you add some logic where colliding with that wall does some negative thing, like you die, or you take damage, or you lose score or something. What is Love 2D? It looks like a dating app name for anime enthusiasts. It kind of, I mean, no, it's a game engine. How did you make the game UI to scale with the window? Let's see. How did I do that? How did I make the UI scale with the window? The UI is not drawn through the camera. So if I go to the draw function, the UI... Yeah, so the form... So this is where the UI gets drawn. The UI gets drawn here, but the camera happens here. So this is all the stuff that happens within the camera, and then this happens after. So this is all the UI stuff. So if I go to the form, I think it scales... It has its own scale, and I bet the scale gets set during creation or during the draw scale. So it looks like the form can have its scale set. Oh, I know where it gets set. It gets set whenever the scale of the game changes. Here. View. So when the camera's scale changes, it also changes the UI's scale. Even though the UI isn't viewed through the lens of the camera, it takes the same scale value of the camera and applies it to the UI, so it always matches. Should I pay my small friend to stand in my garden for 5 hours as a garden gnome? Yes. I'd say that's a good idea. I've never used Love2D. Does it have visuals or is it entirely coding? It is entirely coding. If you want to develop levels for a Love2D game, you need to download an external tool. Like this is what I develop my levels in. It's called Tiled. And I design everything in this, and then the code picks up this file and renders it in game. So, and it's the same with the art. If I want to draw any artwork, I have to go into this sprite editor and draw it all myself. Hey Chalicat, if I were to make a Pong game but with snowmen, should I be able to make obstacles to stop the ball from moving, or should I start off with making snowmen player sprites and go from there? My advice with game development is to start with placeholder artwork. My advice for you is to draw a snowman that looks like this. Okay, there's his body. Okay, there's your snowman. So there. This is what your first snowman should be, and I want you to program your game using the roughest, most dumb-looking sprites ever. I'm saying to use placeholder sprites. Create your snowman sprite, sure, but do not spend much time on it. Get something created so you can start coding your game, start implementing it, and then once it starts coming together, once it starts to look kind of good, then you can go back to your sprite and make a better looking snowman, because like this snowman is kind of jank. Like we can make him look a little bit better. Like he doesn't need a black nose. He can have like an orange carrot nose. Like that. That looks a little bit better. Let's give him some arms, some stick arms. This is good content. Okay, and how about a little hat? How about a little hat? That's really bad. Whoop. I'm just doing this for fun, by the way. I have no reason to do this other than I think it's fun to draw. Let's use a darker shade or a lighter shade. This is being saved and put in Moonshire? Sure, sure, sure. Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, if it was, that kind of gives me the excuse to keep doing this. This music feels right. Do I draw with the mouse? Yeah, I do. It's kind of an ugly hat, but I'm just kind of an ugly man. Snowman. I'm not a fan of black outlines. I'm a big, big fan. I love black outlines. It's my favorite thing. All of my pixel art has black outlines. He looks really bad. This music also feels appropriate for some reason. The hat is like the worst part. It actually looks good, not gonna lie. I think it looks better the more time I spend on it. I think that I need to make his head a little bit less pointy. Bum, 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 bum. It's looking a little bit better. It looks like the decorated boiled eggs that are in a bento box. He does look very egg-shaped. I think that I should move his bottom half down. And then I think I'm gonna squeeze this intersection in. Looks better. Make a snow biome dungeon, and that's the boss. This is a very intimidating boss. No tour or shortcut to quickly create an outline in A-Sprite. There is! I should have used that. Dude, there is! I don't know why I don't... I should use that more. Here, I'll demonstrate it real quick since I didn't do it, but if I was doing this again, I would definitely use that where I have my snowman, and boop, boop, boop. That's so bad. Okay, and then the way that you add an outline is you can highlight what you want to outline, and then you can go over to edit, and then effects, and then outline. Whoop. So yeah, I should have done that. I should have done that. That was a mistake on my part. That would have been faster. Sorry, I keep like zooming out. I think now I think I moved his body down too much. I think I want to make his torso smaller too. You think I should put experience with Lua in my resume? I'm applying for jobs with Java and Angular. I think that in general, employers don't really care too much about which frameworks or engines you put on your resume. They do care a little bit, of course, and they care if it matches exactly what they're working on. But what I'm getting at is if you know one framework or one engine, you're gonna have a pretty easy time learning another one. And if you're applying for jobs, they're probably not looking to see if you already know exactly what they use at the job. They just want to know if you are capable of picking up new skills and learning quickly. And if you have a bunch of like programming languages and experience listed on your resume, that helps with convincing them of that. It helps with convincing them that you know what you're doing. If you know that they're going to be interviewing you about Java specifically, then yeah, focus more on that. But I don't think it hurts to put extra languages on your resume, but I also don't think it's going to like help you that much. If I was interviewing someone and I was looking at their resume and they wrote like 15 languages on down as like, oh, I know this language and this language and this language, at some point after like the 5th language, it starts to be meaningless. Once you know like a couple languages, I'm like, okay, you know how to program. That's all I really care about. It doesn't matter to me if you know, like, I guess it would matter if they knew Lua specifically because there's a lot of specific aspects of it. But it matters more to me that they know how to code. And I think that's what employers are looking for too. We need a snowman in the game. I think he's starting to look a lot better, so I might put him in the game. On Switch, I wish, but no plans. Releasing games on a console is very hard. I've never done it. I know I'd be able to figure it out, but one step at a time. Steam is hard enough. This looks nice. The hat still looks kind of bad, but it's not bad. The body, I actually think he looks pretty good. I could probably make his nose look... I don't know, I kind of like the curled up nose. So we can make his mouth look nicer. Or we could give him like a dot mouth, like a Frosty the Snowman. Aw, that's so cute! I love this. He's smiling. I like this little snowman. I think that... Well, I keep doing that. Yeah, we could turn it into an enemy. That'd be funny. And don't ask him why the game isn't releasing anytime soon. I mean, you can ask me, but I'm just gonna tell you the same thing. I don't know when it's coming. What else should I change? There's not really much else I would change. I think that I can start shading him. Also, he's pure white. I think that I'd rather have him like a light blue. That's too blue. Okay, he should be full, basically full white. But the shading, I'm gonna make it like this. Shading is not my specialty, by the way. I wouldn't say I'm very good at this part of the process. It does look better, though. That looks pretty good. Maybe I should put a black outline here instead, actually. Maybe I can move the whole thing down by 1 pixel. Or does that ruin it? I don't think that ruins it. I think I just need to move everything down. What device is LMMS on? It's for any of them. LMMS stands for Linux Multimedia Suite or something like that, but it's on Windows, Mac, and Linux. I like LMMS a lot. I make music using FL Studio. Sorry, I was focused on my snowman for a hot minute, but I use FL Studio for all my music, and I like FL Studio. It costs a lot of money though, and I would not start with it. I started with LMMS because it's free, and LMMS can do, I'm not exaggerating, it can do like 95% of all the stuff that FL Studio can do. So if you want to make music, just use LMMS. It's free. Or Reaper. Reaper is also free. I'm not using FL Studio because I don't want to buy it for $15. You can get it for $15. I didn't know it was that cheap. I swear it was $150. I think that you meant to say $150. I created a very basic game in Unity where my player can perform basic movement and enemy moves when players detect I'm currently working on ping pong game to learn my basics. Awesome, yeah. Because when you do a ping pong day or a ping pong game or anything like that, it teaches you a lot of fundamentals like collisions and having a level, or if you have a UI, you have to do that. Movement and bouncing off things, changing your angles. There's so many things. There's so many different things that go into that. So it is just good practice. I don't like to demotivate people by saying like, don't work on your dream game right now. Just work on things to get your fundamentals in place. But it's the truth. If you were learning how to paint, you wouldn't start with your like a huge mural on the side of a building. You would start with like a small little thing and do a few of those before you get like the fundamentals in place. FL Studio is worse with my currency. Wow, that's rough. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I would say LMMS or Reaper. I think Reaper might be a little bit more widely used, but they're both good. They're both really good. FL Studio is like a nuclear wallet when it comes to game design. I mean, you definitely do not need it. It does. I couldn't even tell you. Really? I couldn't even tell you what FL Studio is able to do better than LMMS. I can't even tell you. I don't even know. Because they're so similar. It's definitely not worth what it's charging for, but I did pay for it, and it does have some, like, I'll tell you what I paid for. I paid for, like, these little libraries that it comes with, and there are some modules that it comes with, like Soundgodizer. I think it's really nice. So there are some... I'm getting my money's worth of it, but it definitely was not necessary. Make some cool cave ambience music somehow. The thing for me is that a lot of the sounds that I produce are using synths that are not tied to a specific DAW. And let me try to explain this a little bit better. Omnisphere is the synth I use. FL Studio is the DAW I use. This is the ugliest site ever. Certainly they have a better website. Okay, here it is. I guess. So, when you're making music, there's a few things that you need to... All stock plugins? Interesting, that's cool to know for Stardew Valley. When it comes to making music, you need a DAW. Digital audio workstation. It actually says that right here. So this includes something like FL Studio or Reaper or LMMS or what are some, there's some Mac specific ones. I can't remember what they are. Ah, shoot. Let me look up a list of DAWs. List of DAWs. Ableton, Pro Tools, Logic Pro. So any of these, all of these are called DAWs, Digital Audio Workstation. And actually, I'll go ahead and open it up since I'm talking about it, and that'll probably be the last thing we do on stream. I'm gonna open up. Give me 1 second while it opens up. It's a little... It looks really weird on my monitor. It's really small for some reason. But this is what it looks like. Oh man, it is so hard to see. I'm so sorry, guys. It is really hard to see because it's so tiny. I don't know how to make it bigger. How can I make it bigger? But, you choose different instruments, and then you plug in the notes, and then you have like this... Oh man, I wish I could make it bigger. View... I'm so sorry, it's so tiny. I wish I could make it bigger, I'm so sorry about that. But essentially, you go into each of these instruments, and you plug in the individual notes for each one. And let me turn off the music that's playing right now. Whoops. So this project I have open right now is the Hey There Delilah song that I made for the most recent video. And this is what it sounds like. Hopefully it's playing. Yeah, it is. It is. So this is the song that plays at the end of my most recent video. Oh, you made it yourself? Yeah, I made it myself. And the way it works is I found a chiptune synth, and I plugged in all the notes. Like we can open it up. We can watch it as it plays. I just plugged in all the notes, and it's playing them all with the chiptune sound font. Now, this whole process, though, it does not matter at all which DAW I use. If I used Ableton, or Pro, or Logic, or Reaper, or LMMS, they don't even have LMMS on this list. But if I used any of those, the process of creating this would be the exact same. It would. It would just be a matter of putting in all of these notes into the timeline. They all have a timeline like this. They all have a list of instruments that you can plug in. And the instruments, by the way, that I'm using did not come from FL Studio. FL Studio provides you some instruments, but that's not what the DAW does. These DAWs don't provide the instruments. It comes with some instruments. It comes with some plugins that you can play instruments from, that you can make music from. But a lot of the sounds, like for this song that I just played, FL Studio did not provide the chiptune sound font. This synth called Omnisphere did. So Omnisphere is a very, very, very expensive synth. It's a very expensive synth, but you can load the synth into any of these DAWs. All of these DAWs support Omnisphere. The DAW is just what you like plug all the notes into. It's just what has all the timelines. It has a bunch of features. But this synth, this is what produces the noise that you're hearing. This is what produces that chiptune sound. And this synth that I have, it has like literally tens of thousands of these different synthesized noises, and you can make adjustments and add arpeggiators to it. It is really, really powerful and really cool. But the fact that it's FL Studio does not make any difference. It really is Omnisphere that does all of the sound, like you hear that chiptune sound. That's Omnisphere doing the heavy lifting there. But FL Studio is what is like organizing all of this. It's what's providing me this timeline. It's actually providing me like all of these like playback features and effects, and there's lots of things that the DAW does, but there's lots of things that it doesn't do. You have all of these different plugins, all these different instruments on the side that you can see over here, but it's not comprehensive. You still have to get other stuff. I'm sure I can learn pixel art and digital art. I'm sure I can learn coding. I can do sound effects. I can learn all of these given enough time. But no matter how hard I try, I can't learn music. It's just not in me. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm really glad to hear you say that you can learn all these things given enough time. And I totally agree with you on that. And I think the same is true with music. It's just like you're saying, it takes more time than other skills. You feel more comfortable with these other skills compared to others. And I totally get that. Music is something that I'm fortunate that like my parents got me involved with orchestra when I was in 4th grade. So I had experience with this from a very young age. And I bet that if I didn't have that early lifetime experience with music, it would be a lot harder for me to get into. But I love that mindset of with enough time, you can be good at art and coding and sound effects. Music, you probably could, but I think it's fair to say maybe you could focus on other things, because that's the thing is if you spend a bunch of time working on music, for example, that's time that you're not spending on something else. Like if you're working on music, you're not working on coding, and you're not working on sound effects, and you're not working on art. So it might be in your best interest to hire someone who is very good and experienced with music, and they can create some amazing music for your game. And meanwhile, during that time, you can focus on the stuff that you actually enjoy or that you're good at. So I would say if you enjoy music, it's worth taking the time to learn it and get better at it. If you do not enjoy music, it's probably not worth taking the time to get better at it, because there's people out there who like music is their whole life. I'm sure that there's people that you can think of in your own life where music is their whole thing. And I bet that they are capable of producing better music than someone where music is like their third thing. It's like they're like their fourth or fifth thing. So that is definitely something to consider. And I felt the same way about artwork, where coding is my number one thing, and like artwork was a little bit farther down on the list, where I'm like, okay, maybe artwork isn't really in it for me, and I should just hire someone else to do all that for me. And if I did stick with that, if I did stick with having someone else do it, I wouldn't be as good at art as I am today, because I don't feel that way anymore. Now I feel like I can actually hold my own. This snowman is fine. I think that there are parts of this that are pretty good. If I spend even more time on this, I think that it could look even more perfect. But there was a time in my life where I was thinking, nope, art, I can't do it. I just can't do art. No matter how hard I try, I just can't do it. I'm just going to hire other people to do pixel art for me. I'm going to use open source and paid asset packs, and that's going to be it. I'm just not going to do art. But here I am today. I'm glad that I didn't just give up. I'm glad I didn't give up on it, because I'm actually able to accomplish some things with art too. And I would say the same should be true with music that you're up to. If right now you're feeling like you can't do it, I think that's fine. You can hire someone else to fill in the gaps while you work on other stuff. If you have other skills that you're building up, that's great. Especially if you're not interested in that aspect. If you're not interested in music, then yeah, focus on something that you're more interested in. But if you do have an interest in music, but you feel like you're not getting anywhere, just give it time. Just give it time. Like you said, it takes time to get good at art. I really, genuinely, I really did feel like I couldn't do any art at all. I thought that art was not in it for me. But today I do not feel that way. I'm glad that I powered through that phase. 1. Make Snowman Pong game in Game Maker, code it in Godot Studio, then use either LMMS to make music or hire someone to make music for me. Then I just gotta combine them all. Sure. I mean, the thing about so when I say make Pong, making Pong is there to teach you the fundamentals of your engine. So you said make a snowman Pong game in Game Maker, but then you said code it in Godot. I don't understand that. If you want to learn Game Maker, then you should make games in Game Maker. If you want to learn Godot, then you should make games in Godot. I don't see a point in switching between them. Like there's no need to jump between them. Because if you use Game Maker, you can make a game that works on anywhere. And if you make a game in Godot, you can make a game that works anywhere. So like there's no need to learn both, just learn one or the other. Unless you were working on like 3D games. If you're working on 3D games, then you would probably want to use Godot. If you are a young person or you're very, very new to this stuff, you want something really approachable, then Game Maker is nice for that, because Game Maker has like the drag and drop coding process. It's a lot easier to get into compared to something like Love2D or Godot, where you have to kind of get a feel for coding. That might be more of a barrier to entry for some people compared to other people. You said you might stop after an hour, and now you're going past 2 hours. You're on fire today. It is weird how that happens, because like I woke up this morning and I'm like, I'm not feeling super inspired. I'll probably just go for an hour. But then I sit down and I'm getting into it, and we started doing like the AI stuff. We started drawing the snowman, and we started talking about all this other stuff. It is so funny how motivated by motivation I am. How if I'm not motivated, I feel like I can't do anything, and then once I get that momentum going, I feel motivated. That's really true with most work, where once you sit down and get started working on something, time flies by. Like this stream flew by for me. It does not feel like it's only been 2 hours, but it's only been 2 hours. I'm gonna make Game Maker then. Godot is for the big boys only like Unity. They're both for anyone. They're both for anyone. Once you learn Godot, I think that you'll feel right at home. I think Game Maker is more approachable though. It is more approachable than Godot. So that's definitely something to consider. But I am going to wrap things up for today because I'm getting hungry and I want to go get my McDonald's. It is time for McMoonshire Monday. Rescue Squad Culp, see you next Monday, getting ready for work. Yep, I'm going to be heading out right now. Can you 3D model in Godot? You don't 3D model in the engine. You 3D model using a 3D modeling software, and then you import the models into Godot. Nice stream, thank you. Yep, I'm going to call it quits for today. Thank you so much all for being here. We had so many people in chat today. I really appreciate the support and the all the chatting and all the people being here. It really, really means a lot to me. People like Wolf and GoPlay and Duck, Butteriffy, Afton, Rescue Squad, Spicy Chip, Pixes, Alex, Pain and Code, Ryucade, Dead Hunter, T Mackle, Butteriffy, thank you so much for being here. And I will be back next week for yet another Moonshire Monday. Thanks, everyone. Bye.